Let me start that. Okay. All right. So before we begin, we start with our Guru Pranam Mantra and Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunatambitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divya Brindaranya Kalpadrumadaha Srimat Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimat Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prashtalai Bihi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Statastitaha Karshan Venu Sanair Gopir Gopinata Shriestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nastaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavatir nashtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nigamakалпатароргalitam phalam sukhamukadamritadravya samyutam vibhata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavakaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre. Hare Krishna, everybody. Before we start, let me just say my Guru Pranam Mantra. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vignana Shanavasimha Iti Namani Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langa Itim Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhuram Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, everybody. So, welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we are doing chapter 8. The title is Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. So, this is part 2. So, we have already heard about how Parikshit Maharaj was saved from the Brahmashtra in the previous chapter, the previous session. So now we are going to go to the prayers of Queen Kunti. So before we go on, a quick recap of what happened in this chapter. We heard about how the Pandavas were grieving. They were very sad because so many people have died during the war, and after Ashwatthama was also chastised, and Pandavas just lost their sons. Their sons just got killed by Ashwatthama, and on top of that, so many warriors died during the Mahabharata battle. So therefore, they all went to perform Antyeshti. Antyeshti means is the funeral service. So they all walked towards the Ganga. They took bath in the Ganga. They offered oblations to the Ganga. They did prayers, and then after that, completing the ceremony, they bathed again, and then they all came back. So and during that time, everybody was lamenting. So Gandhari was also there lamenting for her death of 100 sons. So all of them, because they were all one family, so they all went together. So we heard about that, and we also heard how Krishna, together with the Munis, they went about giving spiritual knowledge to all these people who were grieving. And they spoke about the cycle of birth and death, how the Atma never dies, how the Atma continues to take birth from one body to another. So this is all what we've covered previously. I'm just recapping quickly. And then the glories of Mother Ganga was also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we heard a little bit about that. And then moving on, after the funeral, then there needs to be a king. King needs to be established in the entire world. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was to be established as a king. So, but to ensure that the kingdom is prosperous and successful, Krishna recommended Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform yagya. Not any type of yagya, Ashwamedha yagya, and therefore he performed 3 Ashwamedha yagyas. So in this way, by performing these Ashwamedha yagyas, the entire world became very bountiful, very fortunate. So the Ashwamedha yagyas were successful. And after that, Krishna prepares to depart. After right when Krishna is about to depart, then what happens? What happens is some danger starts. We heard how Uttara. Who's Uttara? Uttara is the wife of Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna. Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, his wife Uttara. Of course, Abhimanyu died already, but Uttara, she was pregnant. So she came running towards Krishna. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvam abhayam pasye yatra mrityum parasparam. Oh, pahi pahi, protect me, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabahu, great armed Krishna, please protect me. There is a dangerous fiery arrow coming towards me, and even if it kills me, it's okay, but please save, I beg of you, please save, oh Deva Deva, Lord of Lords, I beg of you, kindly save my child in my womb. So then, of course, Krishna being the Paramatma inside, he automatically knew what's coming, right? So Ashwatthama, the chastised Ashwatthama, who was foiled in his attempt to kill the sons of the Pandavas, so what he did, he wanted to end the entire dynasty in his great chagrin, in his anger. So he released a second Brahmastra. And this Brahmastra was aimed only to attack it was supposed to come secretly and hit only the child of the inside the womb of Uttara. So Brahmastra, they could do that, So we've heard about that also. And Paramatma is there before even the Pandavas could react. Paramatma was much faster, swifter than the mind. The Ishopanishad says, right, how the Supreme Lord is swifter than the mind, and he can overcome all others running. So therefore, he was the first to counter. He first appeared from the Paramatma. He expanded himself into the womb of the mother Uttara, and there he countered the Brahmastra. So we heard about that previously. And in this way, Parikshit, the baby, at that time his name wasn't Parikshit yet, but the baby in the womb, he saw what happened. And the story ended there. But right after this incident, then Parikshit is saved, Uttara is also saved. Everybody is so thankful of this Krishna's presence and how he keeps saving them all the time. And then Krishna is about to leave. He's about to now go to Dwarakapuri, go back to his kingdom. So, overcome by affection, Krishna, who has done so much for the Pandavas in so many ways, overcome by affection, Kunti Maharani couldn't stop herself. She went after Krishna in his chariot. Krishna was already in his chariot. And then she approached him, and her heart overflowing, she started to recite, no, not recite, she started to express herself in very beautiful prayers. So this is the prayer that we're going to hear today. What are the things that she says? So these prayers are very, very famous. Okay, so now verse 18. So the verse 18, we stopped at verse 17 previously. So verse 18 continues. Thus saved from Brahma Teja. What is Brahma Teja? The glaring effulgence of the Brahmastra. Thus saved from the Brahma Teja, Prita, the chaste Sati, devotee of the Lord. Kunti Maharani's name is also Prita. That's why, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna will be said, Krishna will call Arjuna, oh Partha. Partha means son of Prita. And who's Prita? Prita is Kunti Maharani. And here, Prita is called, a very important term is used for Prita. The word is used as chaste, Sati. So Prita is chaste. What it means by chaste? Chaste means, for example, a lady is chaste when she sees only her husband. She does not, have any other man in her heart. So everything also, she goes only to the husband. So in the same way, devotees are also expected to be chaste to the Supreme Lord. Any problem, any situation, any condition, any issues, we only go to the Supreme Lord. We do not surrender to other options, right? So ultimately, even if there are other options, they may come, we see those other options as the mercy and the grace of the Lord. And our faith is such that we clearly understand that these other options have no value without without the grace of the Lord. So therefore, they take shelter only in one person. So that is what is called chaste. An example of chaste animal, an animal which is always chaste, there's one type of bird called the Chataka bird. This Chataka bird is a very special bird. It's said that this Chataka bird only drinks water from the rain. It doesn't drink it doesn't drink any other contaminated water. It only drinks directly water from the rain. So if it doesn't rain, it will just go on fasting, and it will patiently wait, looking up into the sky when it will rain. So that's how devotees are, right? Pure devotees. So and the embodiment of such a devotee is Kunti Maharani, and therefore she is called chaste Sati. So Prita or Kunti Maharani and her 5 sons, the Pandavas, and Draupadi, they all came towards Lord Krishna as he was leaving in his chariot and addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. So she started speaking. Kunti Maharani started speaking. So here I just wanted to mention Prabhupada's statement here. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. So he always looks to only the Supreme Lord for protection, for anything. So, for example, somebody may be very ill, and then they say, "Oh, go and see this doctor." Yeah, we go and see. We take doctor because we don't expect the Lord to come right in front of us and heal us. So we take whatever facilities are available. But we are not surrendered to that doctor. We understand that doctor or medical equipment or medicine or whatever facility so-called facility that comes, a job or family or whatever, these are all simply grace of the Lord. Without the grace of the Lord, none of these things are going to work. That's a fact. If doctors are always successful, there wouldn't be any death in this world, wouldn't it? The fact is there are deaths, right? What's the percentage of deaths? 100%. Prabhupada says the percentage of death is the same anywhere in the world, whether it's a modern country or a third world country. The death rate is the same everywhere, 100%. Everybody dies. So no matter how the doctors will protect you, it may look like the doctor has extended your life for some time. It may look like certain things have been pushed aside, but actually the time of death is already decided at the time of our conception. The moment we are born, right, even before we are born, the moment we are conceived, it's already been decided. So yeah, so it may look like it. So therefore, sometimes people artificially extend one's life and things like that. So the idea is we surrender to the will of the Lord. We use what facilities there are, but always in our heart, we understand that all of these facilities are nothing if not for the grace of the Lord. And ultimately, when the facilities fail, then we just surrender completely to the Lord. So that is the idea. So Prabhupada says that here. It's a nice point we should remember. This is what is expected as pure devotees of the Lord. Right? Not in astrology, not in any, we may use them, right? But we are not surrendered to these things. They are just facilities. So now begins the prayer of Queen Kunti. So it's quite a long prayer. Actually, this is the first time a major prayer is being presented in Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 1. Of course, previously there were some prayers. One prayer, the very first prayer to Krishna in Canto 1 was when Arjuna prayed to Krishna, when the Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama was coming towards him. The prayer was Krishna Krishna Mahabahu Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvam Eko Dayamananam Apavargosi Samsrute. Oh Krishna Krishna Mahabahu, kindly remove this fear, all devouring fear in me. You are the Lord, and you are the cause of destroying all fear in devotees. So kindly do that for me and tell me what's happening. So that was the first prayer, but it was a very short prayer, just two or three verses only. And then later we also heard in this chapter, we heard Uttara's prayer, also a very short prayer, just 2 verses, right? And now for the first time we see an extended prayer, the rest. So it will go on from verse 19 all the way to verse 42. So more than 20 verses. So it's very famous, Queen Kunti's prayer, and therefore it's useful that we categorize Queen Kunti's prayer into categories. So how do we understand the different categories of Queen Kunti's prayer? So not only Queen Kunti's prayer, actually any prayer, the Acharyas explain, can be divided into 3 categories. So this is the science of offering prayers. How to offer prayers properly to the Lord. This is the way, even offering prayer also, there is a etiquette, there is a way to offer prayers to the Lord. One doesn't just walk up to the Lord straight away and look at him in the eye and say, oh, Krishna, please give me this, please give me that. No, we don't do like that, right? That is a pure devotee, a chaste devotee, would like how Queen Kunti is praying here. What she will do first, the first thing that devotees do, prayer is one of the 9 processes of bhakti, right? The 9 processes, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Pujanam, Vandanam. Archanam is Pujanam, sorry. Archanam and then Vandanam. Vandanam is prayer. Yes, Indrani Mataji, you raised your hand. No? Oh, if anyone has anything you want to say or you want to raise a question, you can stop me at any time, or you can also keep it for the end. Okay. If there's nothing, then I'll continue. So, Vandanam. Vandanam prayer is one of the 9 processes of bhakti, and therefore it's very important we learn how the prayers are done. So even if you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers in his poems, Narottam Das's prayers, so all of these prayers will have 3 levels. So the first level is called Samprarthanatmika. Samprarthana. Prarthana means prayer. What is prarthana? Prarthana is prayer. So very feelingly offering prayers. Atmika, soulfully, very soulfully one is offering prayers. What kind of prayers? In glorification. So that's how you do first. When you see the Lord, the first thing you do is you glorify the Lord. You offer some sweet words. It's like, when you receive a guest in the house. When someone comes into the house, you don't straight away go straight to the point, isn't it? You do some small talk. You invite them, and then you offer some sweet words. You offer them a sweet seat. So some nice words are exchanged. So glorification. So in the same way, the Lord is being glorified first. So we should know some prayers, right? If you don't know some prayers, we should try to remember them. We should try to memorize some of the famous prayers where we can say in glorification. One example of glorification prayer is the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita has many nice glorification prayers. We say, Venum Kvanantama Ravinda Dalaya Taksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam. So that one we say every morning. So that's the first prayer we offer to the Lord when the Lord is, after Alankar. So like that, there are other prayers also. So now we're going to hear some of those. So here, Queen Kunti, she will say many prayers. So we could try to remember some of them. Verse 18 onwards, all the way to 36. It will be all glorification prayers by Queen Kunti. So after you glorify the Lord, then what do? Straight away, you ask what you want from Lord again? No. So there is a second stage of prayer. The second stage of prayer is called Dainya Vodika. Dainya Vodika means you humbly submit oneself. So first you glorify the Lord. Oh Lord, you are so great, you are so wonderful, you are so powerful, you are so mysterious, you are so amazing, you are everything. So all this is glorification. After that, you start to portray your humility. Then you come and say, you are so great, but I am so fallen. I am so full of anarthas in my heart. My mind is contaminated with material desires. I am tossed by the 3 modes of material nature. I am in this wretched state. I am always dependent on your mercy. I am just a low down fallen beggar. So these kind of prayers, this is also prayer. These are called Dainya Vodika prayers. Humbly submitting oneself. Putting oneself in a lower, humbler than a blade of grass, right? And acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Because one thing is good to glorify, but one can glorify equals also. When you meet someone, let's say you meet your friend, you could say nice things about your friend, but at the same time, you're thinking, whatever I'm saying to you, I'm also that, but I'm just being nice and I'm saying that to you. So, but here, no such illusion. Clearly, you tell the Lord, you are so wonderful, you are so great, but I am so fallen. So you humbly submit oneself. So there are many prayers like this also by our acharyas. Particularly, you see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs, Narottam Das Thakur songs. Bhaktivinoda will pray, I have uselessly wasted my life searching after serving wicked and miserly men. He sings like this in his in various songs. Govinda Das sings like that also in the Bhajahure manner. I have uselessly wasted my life. So I'm now running after the Vaishnava, chasing after the Vaishnava, begging from the Vaishnava. So these are all humbly submitting oneself. After that, then one humbly puts forth what one is requesting from the Lord. Of course, pure devotees do not request for material things, right? So this request is called lalasamai. That means desiring some perfectional stage, desiring something from the Lord. Oh Lord, please put me as the dust at your as the shade of your lotus feet. All right. Oh Lord, please uh, pick me up and place me amongst your devotees, pure devotees. Oh Lord, please bless me with good association always. Oh Lord, kindly be merciful to me. Kindly remove all the anarthas in my heart. Kindly remove kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all this from my heart. Oh, remove the cataracts from my eyes, which are blocking my vision of your lotus feet. So these are examples of prayers of Lala Samai, desiring some perfectional stage. So we will see in the prayer of Kunti Maharani, she will place all three categories. So it's an example of setting an example of how to pray to the Lord. Of course, we also know amongst the nine processes of bhakti, Vandanam, the stage, the process of Vandanam or offering prayers is very nicely shown as an example by Prithu Maharaj. Sorry, not Prithu, Akrura, right? When Akrura went to Vrindavan to meet the gopis, Akrura was every step of the way he was offering prayers. So just like how Prahlad Maharaj is the example of Smaranam, Sukadev Goswami is the example of Kirtanam, and Parikshit Maharaj is the example of Shravanam. So like that, Akrura, the friend of the Lord, cousin of the Lord, he is an example of Vandanam, offering prayers. Okay, so this is the first prayer offered by Kunti Maharani. Samprarthanatmika. This is prayer in glorification. So she prays to the Lord. It's a nice prayer to remember, so that's why I'm putting this the Sanskrit verse there. Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam Antarbahir Avastitam. So Kunti Uvacha, what she says, Namasye Purusham Tvadyam. She offers her respectful obeisances, Namasye, to who? Purusham, the Supreme Person, Tva Adyam Ishwaram. So she's offering her obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original controller, original Supreme Person and controller. Adyam, coming from the word Adi, Adi Purusham. So this is Purusham Adyam, the other way around. So Purusham Adyam Ishwaram, the original root controller of everything. And then she says, you are the original personality of Godhead. And then she says, you are Prakritir Param. You are beyond Prakriti. You are beyond material nature, beyond material energy. So that's another glorification of the Lord. And then she says, you are Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam. Alaksham means you are invisible. You cannot be seen. You're invisible to all living entities. Just like we cannot see the Paramatma, isn't it? But we can see by the grace of the Lord. If the Lord so desires, then we could see him, right? So a special vision will be granted. So, but otherwise, the Lord is invisible to all living entities. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, right, just like how pearls are threaded. So the thread is invisible. The pearls are all there, but you cannot see the thread in the necklace of pearls. So in the same way, the Lord is holding everything. The entire universe is being held in its place. All living entities are alive, moving, working, but you do not see the hand behind. Just like you do not see the thread behind the pearls, the pearl necklace. And then she glorifies the Lord as saying, you are existing everywhere. You are existing inside and outside. Antar, Bahir, Avashtitam, existing. You exist inside everything. You exist outside everything. So in other words, you are existing everywhere. So she's glorifying in this way. It's a nice way to begin the glorification of the Lord. So Kunti is saying, you are everywhere, but you're invisible, and yet why is it nobody knows you, Krishna, right? So, although you are the original personality of Godhead, you are beyond material nature. So, all this is reasons why it's difficult to understand you, but therefore people do not know you. So, but, right, it's not easy for people to know you, Krishna. So, she's going to say in the next verse. So the first set of verses where Kunti Maharani speaks, this is, as I told you, glorification verses. And what is she glorifying the Lord for? She's glorifying the Lord as Yogeshwara Krishna. Yogeshwara Krishna means the great mystic personality, the Lord who is Yoga Ishvara. He controls all mystic powers, very powerful. So all sorts of mystic powers are within the Lord. He is the greatest mystic. You know, Bhagavad Gita also, the word is used, right? Yogeshwara Krishna in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So then she continues. Why is it nobody knows you? Why is it no one can know Krishna so easily? So this is the next verse. We will read this verse also. Maya Javanikakchanam Ajnadokshajam Avyayam Na Lakshya Se Muda Drisha Nato Natyadaro Yata. So the translation is being beyond the range of limited. So why is it that nobody can understand who Krishna is? Nobody can understand the Supreme Lord. Why? First reason is because being beyond the range of limited sense perception. You know, earlier we already mentioned in the verse, you are beyond Prakriti. Krishna is beyond Prakriti, Param. Prakriti, Param. He is beyond that. So, and here more specifically, therefore, if beyond material nature, then beyond our limited senses also. So we cannot understand the Lord or see the Lord using our material senses. So being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor. So in other words, you are avyayam. The word avyayam is used. Avyayam can have several meanings, but generally it means the eternal, all existing, everlasting, it's always there and it's never gone. So therefore, though you are always existing and ever gone, but we cannot see you or hear you, or using our senses, we cannot approach you. Why? Because you are covered by the curtain of Maya. Maya Javanika Chanam. So the curtain of Maya covers the Lord. You know, like in the altar, the curtain is like Maya. When we close the altar, we use the curtain to close the altar, so we cannot see the Lord. So the curtain is like Maya. And in the Ishopanishad, the prayer in the Ishopanishad is very nice. It says, kindly remove the covering which is blocking your face. Let me see your face. So that is very nicely said in the Ishopanishad. And Kunti Maharani continues, you are beyond material conception. Because you're already beyond material senses, our senses we cannot understand you with, right? You are beyond Prakriti, right? And therefore you are also unaffected by Prakriti. You are not affected by material energy. So that's a very important point we need to understand. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, cannot be affected by material energy. So this is one way we can defeat Mayavadis. Because Mayavadis say, in the beginning we were all supreme, and then somehow we got illusioned and we fell down into the world. And then now we want to become God again. So therefore, if we were already God, how is it that Maya can cover us? So in this verse, it says, God means Maya cannot affect, right? That is the understanding. And as a result, not observed by the foolish observer. So this indicates that it may be possible to see the Lord, but one who is foolish cannot understand who the Lord is. Who is the foolish? Foolish are those like atheists who deny the existence of God, right? Or those who are, demonic personalities. So these are the foolish. Krishna explains who the foolish are in Bhagavad Gita, right? And this is very interesting. She continues, Nato Natya Daro Yata. You are behaving just like an actor dressed as a player. Player means like acting a part. Natyam, the word Natyam is used. Natya, like Bharatanatyam. Natya means drama. So just like how in a drama there are actors acting their part, in the same way you are acting your part in these various leelas, just like an actor. But actually, you are great. You are a different person. You are much beyond all this. So you are the Supreme Lord. So in the same way, you're acting like an ordinary man, you're acting like an ordinary person, like a normal householder or like a normal cowherd boy, just like a normal person, but you are not. So very nicely, she is glorifying Lord Krishna. Then who can see you, right? If nobody can see, right? If the curtain of Maya is covering the Lord, right, and the Lord is beyond material senses and in all these things, and he's acting as a player, nobody can understand who is the actual Lord. Then who is it who can see the Lord? So this verse was also glorifying Krishna as Yogeshwara Krishna, the great magician, the greatest magician. He can use Maya to cover himself. Nobody can see him if he doesn't want to be seen. But there are people who may be able to see the Lord. So before we go to that, let's see what Prabhupada says. So Prabhupada says, and yet there is a class of men with demoniac mentality who are always reluctant to accept the Lord as the supreme absolute truth. These are the muddahs, those who are foolish, who cannot see the Lord. No matter how much you show the hand of the Lord also, they will never accept there is a supreme creator. No matter how much you prove to them, debate with them, you tell them, how can there be creation without creator? Have you seen anywhere in your life where there is creation without a creator? Nowhere you have seen. Everywhere also, there is a creator. A Boeing 747 doesn't just appear, a Boeing 777 doesn't just appear on its own. Somebody made it, right? A beautiful drawing or a painting doesn't just appear on its own. Somebody painted it, right? So a nice cake full of beautiful icing doesn't just appear on its own. Somebody made it, right? So in the same way, a beautiful flower doesn't just appear on its own. Somebody designed it. A beautiful animal, so many wonderful things are there in this creation. So how they can just block their eyes and say, no, there is no God. So that is Buddhas, foolish people who are, actually they're not really foolish. It's just that they have a motivated reason. They don't want to believe there is a God. Because if they believe there is God, then it's a problem for them. Because it means they have to follow what God has said. So because they don't want to follow what God has said, therefore conveniently they want to think that there is no God. So yeah, and then Prabhupada continues, this is why do they behave like this? This is two reasons, like how I said. Number one, partially due to their poor fund of knowledge. They just don't have enough information. But sometimes you give information also, they still don't want to accept. And that's because of the second reason. Second reason is partially due to their stubborn obstinacy. Stubborn, they don't want, because the alternative of accepting, they don't like it. So because they don't like it, they don't want to believe it. So which results from, and why do they behave like this? So all this is due to their past sinful behavior from various misdeeds in the past and present. So that's interesting because our activities can create a certain type of mindset, and this certain type of mindset can work for us or it can work against us. So this is also what the modern people are teaching also, isn't it? You want to do well in something, you mix with people who want to do well in it. You want to be a good baker, you go and join an association of baking association or baking club, or you go and join YouTube where all the baking people are doing, and then mixing with them, then you also will be a good baker. You'll get all the understanding. So by knowledge, by activity, we can create a certain mindset. Then whenever you meet such a person, they will always be talking about baking only. They talk about cakes, they talk about so that is creating a mindset. So if you want to create a mindset, right? So sinful behavior creates a mindset in the future where it will be averse towards God. So why are some people, some people who are simply born in such a way, born averse, they just don't like anything to do with God, right? Because of their sinful behavior in the past. So that has created a type of mind, a type of dislike, a type of like within their mind. A set has been created for them coming from the past. So it can be changed by further actions that we do in our life. So whatever we do now, always remember, is creating our body in the future. Our future body is being created, our future body in our next life, whether it's the spiritual world or whether it's the material world, is being created by whatever we are doing and thinking currently. As we are thinking, as we are doing, that body is being created and kept ready, ready for the future. So, right, continuing Kunti Maharani's prayers. So she says, you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of Bhakti Yoga unto the hearts of the Paramahamsanam and Muninam. So basically she's saying, oh, you are so great, you are so wonderful. So who can see you? Who can understand you? Who can understand you are the Paramahamsas. The Paramahamsas, the very, very advanced transcendentalists, the great yogis, especially the bhaktas, and also the munis, the great philosophers, the great mental speculators. By speculating, by looking at reading scripture, by gaining knowledge, they can understand, yes, there is a God. Yes, there is, and this God is none other than the Krishna. So like that, they can come to understand. So you and you yourself come to help us understand. So you yourself come as you incarnate yourself in various ways. You incarnate, for example, as Bhagavad Gita, Grantha Avatar. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, we can know about you. You incarnate yourself as Srimad Bhagavatam. So by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we can know about you. You incarnate yourself in various other pastimes. You come in various other forms. So in this way, right, you descend to propagate the transcendental science of Bhakti Yoga unto the hearts of the great Paramahamsas and the Munis. So this is the real reason why the primary reason why the Lord advanced in this material world. He wants to give this. That's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, right? Ultimately, he comes to attract the living entities towards the Lord, because Krishna is all attractive, right? And Rama is all blissful. All the forms of the Lord are extremely beautiful, very, very attractive. Millions of cupids cannot challenge. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Shobham. The Lord's beauty defeats the beauty of millions of cupids. So these are the people who can see the Lord. What kind of people? The Paramahamsas and the Muninams, who are what kind of Munis, what kind of people? Those who are Amala Atmanam. What is Amala Atmanam? Those who are Amala means pure, Atma, pure. Those who have been purified. How can we get purified? How can anyone get purified? Because we are contaminated by the three modes of nature, isn't it? In this, we are contaminated by material thinking, material thoughts. We are contaminated by so many things like, anger, lust, illusion. So these are all contaminants. So how can we become pure? Amala Atmanam. Bhagavad Gita chapters 1 to 6, 1 to 12 give the methods. How? By the process of yoga, right? So either we take to the process of the jnanis or we take to the yoga of the bhaktas. So in this way, we can become pure. So after saying this, Kunti Maharani is saying, great personalities, great transcendentalists, Paramahamsas, Munis, these people can understand you. Those who are purified can understand you. And then she takes a very humble role. And then she says, so how can then we, the women, the Striya, know you perfectly? So Kunti Maharani is taking a very humble stance. She's saying, I'm just a mere woman. I don't know. I'm not like the great transcendentalists, like the great Munis. I may not be pure-hearted or purified. I'm just another lady. How can I know you perfectly? So it's very beautiful the way she asks this. This is the humility of the devotees. They always try to take the lower position whenever possible in front of the Lord. They never claim themselves to be great or claim themselves to be pure. So that's how we can understand. So Prabhupada is saying he is knowable only by one who has his mercy. So he answers beforehand itself. Of course, this is a rhetoric question. Kunti Maharani is not expecting Krishna to reply to her question. She is offering prayers. So in this way, in this prayer, this verse is very nice because both glorification is there and also humbly submitting herself. The second part of the prayer is also there. Both factors are there inside these prayers. So it's actually a rhetoric question. So why is rhetoric? Because Kunti Maharani is just now telling Krishna, just listen to this. Kunti Maharani is just now telling Krishna, oh, you can be seen by great Paramahamsas, you can be seen by great Munis. I am just a woman, I cannot see you. But actually, Krishna may be thinking in his mind, oh, you're saying like that, but you know me, you are knowing me, the way you are offering your prayers, it shows that you know me very well. The way you are speaking your prayers, right, it clearly shows that you know my position, that you are able to see me, and now you're just telling me you cannot see me, but you can see me. So it's a humility. It is Kunti Maharani's humility. So the understanding is, the point here is, women may not be great philosophers, maybe not. All right. Of course, nowadays there are many people who take up the devotional service. They also learn up the philosophy. So when it comes to devotional service, one acts in the position of the soul. One no longer acts in the position of the body. There's a nice prayer we say when we enter the altar. The prayer, the meaning of the prayer, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that prayer. The meaning of that prayer is, I am not Vaishya, I am not Brahmana, I am not Kshatriya, I am not Vaishya, I am not Shudra, I am not any of the Varnashram, right? I am not male, I am not female. So I am simply Das Anudas. Servant of the servant. Gopi Bharto Padakamalayur Das Anudas. Servant of the gopis. So that is the mentality. So therefore, anyone, whether it is children, example Prahlad Maharaj, whether it is women, example Kunti Maharani, right? Or whether it is Shudras, example the cobbler, who, the story of the cobbler in the Brahmana, how the cobbler could understand the supreme position of the Lord so easily. So it doesn't matter. Any of these people who take to the position of bhakti, who take up bhakti, they can know the Lord, not by their own endeavor. Their own endeavor is one thing, but ultimately it is by the mercy of the Lord. So the point is, bhakti teaches us how to behave in such a way, or how to act in such a way that Krishna is pleased. And when Krishna is pleased, then by his mercy we can know him. So he is knowable only by one who has his mercy. Otherwise, it's not possible. Right? Just like how Arjuna was asking Krishna, I want to see that form of yours. So Krishna had to give him special vision. So fortune of the bhaktas. So this particular verse, it's no longer talking about Yogeshwara Krishna, the mystic, the great mystic. It is talking about how the bhaktas are very fortunate. The devotees are so fortunate by the mercy of the Lord. So as I said, this particular verse combines both samprarthana atmika. It combines the offering, the prayer very feelingly, glorification, and it also combines the dainya vodika, humbly submitting oneself. Both of them are combined in this verse. So if you are lazy to say so many prayers, we can just memorize 1.8.20, and then both are inside the prayer. Particularly if the person who's speaking it is a woman, because he says here, how can we women know you perfectly? All right, so continuing the fortune of the bhaktas, 1.821. This is a nice verse. It's a very famous verse. We say it all the time in our Bhagavatam session. So here is where it comes from Kunti Maharani's prayers. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So the meaning of this verse is, it's very nice. It's easy to understand the meaning simply by looking at the Sanskrit. Krishnaya Vasudevaya. Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Devaki Nandanaya Cha, the boy of Devaki, the young boy of Devaki. Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya. He is also the young cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaj. Govindaya Namo Namaha. To you, O Govinda, the one who gives pleasure to the cows, right? I offer my respectful obeisances. So this is also glorification, but at the same time, it is more towards the fortune of the bhaktas. Oh, Vasudeva is so fortunate. Oh, Devaki is so fortunate. Both of them, you came as their son and you saved them from the prison. Oh, but even more fortunate is Nanda Gopa, Nanda Maharaj, who is, who got to see your cowherd pastimes as a young boy. So you see this picture here, I put how young baby Krishna carried the slippers of Nanda Maharaj on his head to give to Nanda Maharaj. So all these beautiful pastimes of the child Krishna, they got to see, they got to experience. So they are so fortunate. Govindaya Namo Namaha. Oh, the cows are also fortunate. All the cows that you took care of. So you are the Lord of the cows. You're the enlivener of the cows. You give pleasure to the cows. So therefore his name is Govinda. So, and Krishna loves to be known by this name, Govinda. So actually Krishna likes to be known by any of these names. He is not so happy to be known as God or as Paramatma or as Vishnu or as Jagatpati. So, but he rather prefers to be known as Vasudevaya, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandan, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, Govindaya Namo. So he prefers to have these names because they are in relation with the bhaktas, fortune of the bhaktas. This is the feature of Krishna's Bhakta Vatsala feature. So, Samprarthanatmika, very feelingly offering prayers in glorification, but in glorification of his bhaktas also. So, Prabhupada continues with this purport. His pastimes with the cowherd men, and especially with the cowherd boys and the cows, have caused him to be known as Govinda. Go means cow, right? Vinda means to give pleasure. Then, Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows. That's why, we have the verse, Namo Brahmanyaya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. So, Namo Brahmanyaya, Brahmanas, and then Go, cows. oh Krishna, the protector and the protector of the cows and the Brahmanas. So Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items than anything else. So if the Brahmanas are happy and the cows are happy, then automatically the world, the entire earth will be prosperous and happy. It will be almost like, it will be like heaven on earth. That is the secret. This is the secret we all have to understand. Nothing else is needed. Brahmanas have to be happy. The cows have to be happy. Right? Today is very unfortunate day. The cows are not happy. But what to do? But nevertheless, so therefore, all kinds of calamities come. Always there are problems in the world because of cow killing. So, and how can cows be happy? Cows cannot be happy until there is Brahminical culture in the world, because it is Brahmanas who can explain this point to the people at large, because people don't know how to be prosperous. They don't know what is prosperity. This is the real secret, the real feng shui, the real vastu, the real secret of secrets of prosperity. Right? So that the Brahmanas can explain. So the Brahmanas are needed. So that's why Krishna consciousness ISKCON, the mission is to create first-class gentlemen. In other words, to make Brahmanas in society. So then when we have Brahmanas in society, then cow culture, Go Raksha, will become a reality, because more and more people will think in that way. The focus is to protect the cows. So namely Brahminical culture and cow protection, Brahmanas and Goraksha. So Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these things are lacking. So that's that idea. So a proper leader or a king, right? His responsibility is to ensure that the Brahmanas are protected. The Kshatriya's job is this, right? He has to ensure, he has to make way for this. Of course, Vaishyas are specifically meant to protect cows, right? But in terms of protecting the bigger picture from being destroyed, the dharma being destroyed, is the Kshatriya's duty. And then we have another verse. Queen Kunti continues with another beautiful verse. This is another verse which we always say in our Srimad Bhagavatam session. So, Nama Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankajamalini, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangre. So this is called the lotus verse, the verse of lotuses, because we see lotus being said so many times. What is lotus? There are many names for lotus in Sanskrit. You know, Kamala is lotus. Aravinda, also lotus. What else? Pankaja, also lotus, right? Here, this is Pankaja, right? There are other names also. I can't remember right now offhand. Yeah, but there are. So this is lotus. See how many times lotus is mentioned? 4 times. Nama, I offer my obeisances to Pankajanabhaya. What is Pankajanabhaya? Pankajanabhaya means, here you can see the picture of Lord Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, from his navel, Naba means navel. From his Naba, a lotus is coming. And from this lotus, Brahma is born. So, Naba, Nama Pankaja Nabaya. So, one whose lotus, whose navel is lotus, right? So, therefore, this is referring to Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. I offer my obeisances. And then the second line, Nama Pankaja Maline, one who is always garlanded with lotus. So it is said that the Lord is always garlanded with lotuses. So that's another important point also. We should think. He likes lotus garlands very much. And Nama Pankaja Netraya. Netra means eyes. Right? And the eyes are like lotus petals. You know, the way you can see Lord Madhava's eyes here, You see the lotus petal has a nice shape, you can see the lotus petal shape. See here, this is the petal shape, right? You can see the same type of shape is in the eyes of the Lord, very big. So if someone is said to be Pankaja Netra or Kamala Netra, right, that means very beautiful eyes, like the lotus, the shape. And Namaste Pankajangraye, Pankaja Angraye. Pankaja Angraye. Angra means the feet, the lotus feet. So the lotus feet are also, is basically, Lord is lotus feet. Lotus feet is Pankajangriye. So this is the nature of the Lord. So a lotus usually represents beauty. It represents transcendence. Why it represents transcendence? Because though it grows in the mud, right? The flower comes out of the mud, out of the water, and blooms outside. So just like how that is called transcendence, right? Coming out of the three modes of nature. So out of the elements. So therefore it represents transcendence. It represents spirituality. So it's also the national flower of India. So yeah, so therefore this is lotus, the Lord of lotuses. Right? So and then continuing the verse, she continues with the next verse, more on the fortune of bhaktas. So this is still glorification. She says, O Hrishikesha, master of the senses, O Vibho, O greatest one, you have released Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa. So she's glorifying the devotees and she's glorifying the Supreme Lord. So she's talking about the fortune of the bhaktas. Oh, so fortunate is Devaki. So one may think, how is Devaki fortunate? She got trapped in prison, all her sons got killed. But that's the material vision. One who sees with the spiritual vision can understand how Devaki is Saubhagyavati, most fortunate, because she had the Supreme Lord as her son. So that relationship is out of the world. So therefore, fortune of the bhaktas. And then she continues, Devaki is very fortunate, right? And me and my children from a series of constant dangers. So Devaki is fortunate, but Kunti Maharani considers herself even more fortunate than Devaki. Because Devaki only got to see the Lord once only in the beginning as a child. And then after that, she couldn't see Lord Krishna. She had to wait for 16 years before Lord Krishna came to, not 16, I think 11. I'm not sure, probably 16 or 11. I'm not sure when he came to Mathura. If anybody knows, they can say. But anyway, she had to wait some number of years before she could see Lord Krishna again. And even then also, after that, he was already a prince. His pastimes were different. So yes, Kunti Maharani, Devaki, you were born to Devaki, right? But she only saw you once, and you saved her. You saved her from her prison house. Yes, once only. In fact, once only you saved her. After that, her situation was fine. After being saved from the prison, there was no other problems for Devaki. But for me, I saw so much of you, and you were constantly saving us from all the dangers. Not only me, my children also. You are always there, saving me and my children from all the constant dangers. So Kunti Maharani was overwhelmed. She was overcome with emotions, and she was glorifying, how fortunate I am. So this is how the devotees always see, The devotees always see how fortunate I am that Krishna is reciprocating with me in this way. So, in spiritual life, there are so many ways we get Krishna's reciprocation. Sometimes our eyes are blind. We just have to open our eyes to see. We have to see how fortunate we are in our position, that we get to serve the Lord directly. We get to, associate with the pure devotees of the Lord. So the Archa Vigraha, we get to celebrate, we get to directly offer food to the Lord. So all this is, we cannot take for granted. It's actually our greatest fortune. So if we think like this, if we focus like this, Krishna has given me the perfect situation for me. Krishna has given me all these benefits, and I can use all of this. I've got a body, I've got all these things, so I can use them all for Krishna's service. So if one focuses on these things, on the gratitude, right? Just like how Kunti Maharani is focusing, then we can make rapid advancement. So that is a very nice point, which is being brought out here. So Prabhupada continues, the conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater danger. So as I said, Devaki was saved, right? And he didn't save Devaki's children because Vasudev was still alive. The husband was still alive. So therefore, there was some protector. Devaki had a protector, right? But for Kunti, her husband is already dead. Prabhupada says in his purport, Pandu Maharaj is already dead. So Kunti Maharani is a widow. So therefore, the sons are her protection. So Krishna did not allow the sons to be in danger. He was always protecting Kunti Maharani in this way. So then Prabhupada continues, sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. So this is another point. So when Krishna favors a person, right, particularly when the person is already, of course, he will not do like that to people who are not ready to accept it. So he reciprocates accordingly. When he sees that one is becoming more and more surrendered, he will arrange in such a way, according to one's situation, to increase the devotion of that person towards the Lord. So sometimes it is by giving nice things, but sometimes it's by taking away everything. So it could be either way. But it's nice to always receive, right? But it's not easy to always lose. So to help us understand, Krishna uses all his pure devotees as an example, as an instrument. You see, most of Krishna's devotees, you see from the scripture, a lot of them are going through difficulties, like the Pandavas, particularly the Pandavas. Oh, Bhishma Dev itself couldn't understand. He said, oh, you are friends with the Supreme Lord. Aho custom, so much of difficulties you have gone through, and you are friends with the Supreme Lord. This is not karma. This is the mercy of the Lord. This is directly the Lord's pastimes and Leela Shakti, and you are so fortunate that you are directly in the production with the Lord Himself. So therefore, this is the great fortune of the Bhaktas. So you have to understand. So Kunti Maharani was actually Bhagyavati. Bhagyavati means very, very fortunate woman. So, and she feels that. And out of affection, she is not disturbed about the difficulties. So many difficulties I had. Devaki only had one difficulty. She was put into prison. Thankfully, luckily, I got so many difficulties. Because I had so many difficulties, you came and saved us so many times. We got to see you. We got to associate with you. So therefore, she will come and say in the famous verse known for Kunti Maharani will come in a short while. So Kunti Maharani is remembering how many times you have saved us. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us in the past from how the Lord has protected Kunti Maharani and her children, right? Right from the beginning, when Bhima was given poison, Vishat, the Lord protected the Pandavas from Vishat. Vishat means poison. Duryodhana, out of envy, when they were children, just children, Duryodhana, talk about bad children. Duryodhana, out of envy, he gave poison to Bhima, because Bhima liked to eat. Most children like to eat a lot. So Bhima liked to eat more than most children. So knowing this, he put poison in the cake and gave the cake to Bhima. And Bhima ate the cake and he was feeling drowsy, but Bhima was very powerful. That poison was so terrible, it should have killed a normal person. But because Bhima was so powerful, he just became drowsy and he collapsed near the river and he entered into the water. And when he entered into the water, Krishna arranged in such a way that there were so many snakes, water snakes in the river, and these water snakes came and bit Bhima. So when the poison of the water snakes entered into Bhima's blood, the poison cancelled the other poison from the cake. Sometimes it works like that. The concept of homeopathy. Homeopathy works like that. You use fire to fight fire. That's the idea. You use poison to fight poison. So one kind of poison can cancel another kind of poison. So it worked out, and Bhima was saved. And not only saved, he got some benedictions also later due to this. So Krishna always knows how to turn a tragedy into victory. So that is Krishna's speciality. And then what else Krishna saved the Pandavas from? Kunti Maharani is remembering. Poison. You saved us from Maha Agni. Maha Agni means the great fire. How Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, they created a trap for the Pandavas. The Kunti Maharani and the Pandavas, they were widowed. Kunti Maharani was a widow, and the Pandavas were young, and they were asked to go to a holiday home which was made out of flammable material. They put a lot of flammable material inside secretly in the wall, killed all the people who built that building. And then when the idea was they wanted to burn it, and when it burns, it will catch fire so terribly that they will not be able to escape. But again, Krishna hinted to Vidura. Krishna knew everything. He hinted to Vidura. Vidura went and told the Pandavas, and because they were warned by Vidura, they could find a way to escape. By Vidura's assistance, they were able to escape. So the tunnel they built a tunnel to come out. And the tunnel is still there. So this is the tunnel, in Uttar Pradesh, Bagpat district, which is said to be used by the Pandavas to escape from the wax house built by Kauravas. So I came across this and I just caught it. The tunnel is still there in Uttar Pradesh, India. And then the Pandavas were also saved by Purusha Ada. Purusha Ada means man-eaters. Because after they escaped from the burning building, they dared not go back to the kingdom, because they realized already what's happening. There is a royal intrigue to kill them. There is a royal plot to kill them. And who is trying to kill them? The king himself, Dhritarashtra, together with Duryodhana, was trying to kill them. So what hope is there for a widowed lady with 5 young children? So therefore, they decided to not go back straight away to the kingdom. They decided to hide in the forest. And the forest is always a dangerous place. So there are all kinds of things in the forest. There are man-eaters, there are demons, rakshasas. So they were protected. Of course, Bhima was there to protect them, but not all the time. So sometimes Bhima also needed assistance. So Krishna helped Bhima in some ways, where Bhima was able to protect the Pandavas. So the man-eaters, they were protected by man-eaters. And then they were protected in the Asat Sabaya, Sabha. Sabha means assembly, and Sat means virtuous. Asat means immoral assembly. So this is what happened, immoral assembly, where they not only gambled in the greatest kingdom on earth, the greatest kingdom which was supposed to be the epitome of dharma and civilization on earth at that time, in Hastinapura. Gambling occurred over there. Not only gambling occurred, the stakes were on a woman. And a woman was brought into the assembly, dragged by her hair. Not any woman, a queen, a princess, a royal personality, not a normal personality also. One who is born from fire. Draupadi was born from fire to the king, right? The Drupada Maharaj, a royal princess. She was dragged, not during her normal time also, during her menses, a period. At that time, she was dragged by her hair and insulted publicly among so many men. And they tried to disrobe her. So that was called the immoral assembly. And when they tried to do that, none of the husbands could protect her. Dharma himself couldn't protect, because they made it such, they were so cunning that they checkmated Yudhishthira Maharaj in every way. So there was nothing they could do. So then who else can protect? Only Krishna could protect. So Krishna did protect, right? And what else? Krishna protected them from Vanavasa Krichrata. Vanavas means exile to the forest. Krichrata means all the sufferings that they had to go through while they were in the forest. They had to dress very simply. Mosquitoes are there in the forest, I'm sure, right? And Draupadi, a royal princess, had to sleep on the floor, right? And no aircon and all this, so it's very difficult. Simple food, roots, no, there's no grain and all these things. They just ate roots and fruits. So it was a very difficult life, but still, even so, Krishna assisted them in so many ways. He arranged for the Akshaya Patra to solve their food problem. He arranged for a pot which can give unlimited food. So Draupadi was able to secure such a pot by Krishna's grace. So like that, in so many ways, Krishna protected them. So Kunti Maharani is remembering. This is called Smaranam. She's meditating in Samadhi, remembering again and again and again all the different ways Krishna protected them. Then she continues further. Mride, Aneka Maharata Ashrataha. Oh, you protected us also. Now, then after that, Mahabharata war came. And in the Mahabharata war, there were so many generals, great generals, not normal generals, undefeatable generals. Bhishma Dev, who even Parashuram couldn't defeat, right? And Dronacharya, who had a boon that as long as he stands with his weapon raised, nobody could defeat him. And Karna, who's also, a great personality, who had great powers also. So therefore, all these people were there, and they all complotted against the Pandavas, and their army was overwhelming. 11 Akshaunis, 11 battalions, whereas the Pandavas were only having 7 battalions. But still, and so many terrible weapons. There was the Shakti weapon from Karna. Then there was, different types of weapons from Dronacharya, from Bhishma, and from, all these weapons of all these great generals, Krishna protected against. And then he talked about the greatest of weapons, Drauni, and recently also Ashwatthama, Drauni. Drauni means the son of Dronacharya. Ashwatthama, his weapon also, Ashrata. His weapon also you protected our daughter-in-law. So you gave us full protection. Abhirakshitaha, full protection. Abhirakshita means complete protection. So she was remembering this, and she was looking at Krishna, gazing at him with love. And then she says, Vipada Santuta Saswat. This is the famous verse, 25, 1:8:25. Vipada, I'll just say it. Vipadaha Santutaha Saswat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yatshad Apunar Bhava Darshanam. So, very famous verse of Kunti Maharani. So, gazing at Krishna, overwhelmed with emotion, she was saying from the depth of her heart, I wish, oh Krishna, you have done all this for me. You have done all this for us. Now you are leaving us. So then she said, I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again. Who will wish like this? Who is there in the world who will wish like this? Nobody will wish like this, that we want calamities to happen again and again, right? So, but her love her love for Krishna was so strong, it eclipsed, just like the sun gets eclipsed sometimes, or the moon gets eclipsed. So it eclipsed the pain of suffering completely. So therefore she's saying, I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again, just so that we could see you. So that's a very heartfelt prayer and very advanced level prayer. Of course, we don't dare to say such things. So I don't think people will memorize this, but still they do, right? It's a very beautiful prayer. And Krishna will listen to that prayer if it's really meant from the heart. So this is Krishna Smaranam. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was also in the same boat. He was being put in fire. He was being put in calamity also. He was put in fire. He also was given poison. He also was thrown from the building, and then he was subjected to wild elephants. So many things. But all those calamities, he was abhaya. He was always fearless. Prahlad Maharaj, right? Because he was always in Krishna Smaranam, remembering the Lord. So Kunti Maharani was also always remembering the Lord, and she came to remember him more and more by all these things happening. So this is her love for her. So she's saying, I wish all this will happen again and again, so that I could see you again and again. For now you are leaving. Then she says, for seeing you means, now she's giving some tattva, philosophy. So she's saying, yeah, I know philosophy is there. So she's saying, but because by seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Apunar bhava darshanam. Bhavato darshanam. By your darshanam, bhavato, by your darshanam, right? Then the apunar bhava darshanam is destroyed. Apunar means again and again taking birth, bhava, in this material world. That darshanam is destroyed simply by taking your darshanam. So this is poetically, she is putting philosophy and offering that as prayer to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada gives a purport there. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities. Right? So we can understand for a pious person, if there is some calamity, what will happen? He will sometimes think of the Lord. But if there is no calamity, why are calamities important for us? Calamities are there. Of course, nobody wants calamity, but then nevertheless, it happens to us, right? With the right understanding, with the right consciousness, we can convert each of these calamities into major, powerful boosters for our devotion. So each calamity that comes our way, we can't avoid it, whether we like it or we don't like it, right? Nobody looks for calamities, right? Nobody looks for difficulties, right? We all look for happiness, but do we get happiness all the time? Do we get what we look for all the time? So we also get calamities. Even when we don't look for even when we don't look for trouble, still trouble comes looking for us. So Krishna, in the same way, we don't have to look for happiness also. Just like how trouble doesn't, we don't look for trouble and yet trouble comes looking for us. So even the same way, we don't have to look for happiness. Happiness will come looking for us if we are destined to have that happiness. So therefore, when calamities come, sometimes we think of the Lord, right? Otherwise, when there is everything very happy, usually a normal person doesn't think of the Lord because he's happy. I've got everything is there, I'm satisfied. Let me think about how I can now satisfy my senses. When he's happy, his focus is to satisfy his senses. But when calamities come, then I'm in such a danger. My livelihood is threatened. Then straight away they focus on the Lord. If they are pious, lah. But if they are not pious, then they will try to, in different ways, they will try to counter it using immoral, sinful methods. But at least if they are pious, they'll remember the Lord. But that is not good enough. that is not bhakti, because that is karma kanda. So when they need the Lord, they come to the Lord. When they are happy, they don't need the Lord. So, but bhaktas or devotees are not like that. So anyway, the point here is the world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam, right? It is a dangerous place full of calamities. So therefore, the duty of the sane person is don't be disturbed by worldly calamities, because it's part of the arrangement of the world. It's going to happen whether you like it or not, right? So less intelligent people might prepare some plans to avoid it, but more intelligent persons will just uh, not be so disturbed by it and continue one's devotional service. So Prabhupada says, suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortune. This is what Prabhupada advises to do. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortune, whenever it comes, when difficulties come. This is what Krishna told Arjuna also, right? Matras parsas to kaunteya sitoshana sukha dukkada. So these things are to be tolerated, and you continue with your duty. And what is our duty? Particularly, it's devotional service, right? That's the most important duty that we're going to do. So just suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are all called false. So Prabhupada is telling us, we are the soul, we are not the body, right? And we have nothing to do with this body. We have nothing to do with the three modes of material nature. That is the soul, right? So actually, so-called calamities that come, it is all false. It's not really real. Oh, how to understand this? This is such a difficult point. You're telling me all my problems are not real, right? So how to understand this correctly is Prabhupada gives an example. The example is, imagine we are dreaming, and in our dream, there is a tiger. The tiger is chasing us. The tiger is chasing us, chasing us, chasing us. And we fell down. We got tripped by a rock and we fell down. And then the tiger caught us. It rakes us with its claw. Oh, so painful, so painful. We scream in our dream. And then the person who is watching us sleeping, he sees us screaming and, and crying. And then, so then when they wake you up, then you wake up and then you realize, oh, the tiger, oh, it was all just a dream. There was no real tiger. Oh, thank goodness. So, therefore, the calamity that we were facing, which was in our dream, it wasn't real. It's just a subject due to our illusion. It's subject due to our conditioning. So that's the understanding. It's due to our conditioning that we are experiencing these calamities. So the soul is not actually experiencing the calamities. So it's a very high point to understand, I know, but still it is something which we can remember to philosophically deal with problems, not to become so caught up in the three modes. Because, we should not deal with problems in the lower modes. When problems come to us, we should deal with it in the mode of goodness. That's something which we should remember. So that philosophy is to help us remember that. Right? Deal with it. Understand, yeah, this is part of now. And then in the mode of goodness, respond to the problem. Don't react. Respond to the problem in such a way. So in this way, Kunti Maharani is continuing her prayers. My Lord, you are Akinchana Gocharam. So I'll just stop with this verse and then we can end. It's 9:30 already. My Lord, you are Akinchana, two more verses, this one and the next one. But then again, I need some time to talk about it. So I'll just end with this verse now. My Lord, you are Akinchana Gocharam. What is Akinchana Gocharam? Akinchana Gocharam means one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted person. What is materially exhausted? That means one who is materially very destitute, very poor. Oh my Lord, you are very easily attained, Gocharam, very easily attained by the Akinchana, one who has nothing. one who has nothing, for such a person, you are easily attained. So this is the type of people who can understand Krishna. So one who is trying to improve himself with Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri, what is all this? One who's always madly, who is mad, Mada. One who is madly always trying to improve himself. He thinks the goal of his life is this, right? I want to improve my birth. I want to get an aristocratic birth, right? Or I want to take birth in a heavenly planet. One who is always after Aishwarya, opulence. One who is always after Shruta. Shruta means education, right? Great knowledge. The six opulences. When we say Bhagavan has six opulences. So like that, power, wealth, beauty. So Shri Bihi means beauty. So in this way, one who's mad after these things, such people cannot approach you by sincere feeling. So they may approach the Lord, but very difficult to get pure devotional service because they are not really looking for that, because they are enamored, they are covered in illusion by this Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri. So unless these things are gone, then it becomes easy for that person, right? If there is no Janma, if birth is low, one becomes humble. That's what Brahma. This is the theory Brahma had, because Brahma became proud, and the Brahma Vimohana Leela, where Brahma took away all the cowherd boys. And later, after he realized his mistake, he became very repentant. He became very sorry. Oh, because I'm Brahma, because I'm proud of my position in Satyaloka, that I behaved in this way. So then he prayed to Krishna, please, please take away my Janma, my Aishwarya, my Shruta, and my Shri. Take all these things away and give me a birth where I can fully focus, where I can become Akinchana Gocharam, where I can become Akinchana. So in this way, he prayed, and Krishna Tatastu, very pleasingly, happily, he gave the blessings, and he became Haridas Thakur Namacharya. That's how he became a great personality. So easy for him to attain pure devotional service. Otherwise, it's difficult. Okay, so we stop here. It's now 9:35. Are there any questions anyone wants to raise? Anything you need clarification, we can try to discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
This Prabhu, this Mahabharatam, actually, Kundi is auntie for Krishna, right?
Yeah.
Kundi is auntie for Krishna. Sometimes Balaraman overruled Krishna because as elder brother, Krishna accepted it.
Yeah.
Now, Kundi Devi is auntie for Krishna. She can instruct Krishna what to do, but why still she's begging Krishna?
Yeah. That's because Kunti Maharani knows Krishna's actual position. So Kunti Maharani, if you read the purport, Prabhupada says, Krishna, Kunti Maharani knew perfectly who Krishna was. That's why you can see her prayer. The way she's praying to Krishna, you are the mysterious Lord. You are without birth. You are Aja. You are transcendental. Material nature is beyond you. So she's glorifying the Lord in this way. That is quite clear to indicate that she knew Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and if Krishna came, that's why she said in the first two verses prayers, right? She said that you are just coming like a drama actor. You are simply taking a role. She actually used the word natyam. You are coming just like a drama actor, and you have taken birth in my family. I am so fortunate. So that's the reason. So even it said, though, yeah, she's the auntie. So she didn't look at Krishna's feet when she prayed, because she knows that Krishna is playing the role of a nephew. So she didn't want to embarrass Krishna, because if as the auntie she was to touch the feet, and then So then it won't be so nice for his position because he's supposed to be the nephew. So therefore, she didn't look at his feet. She just looked at his waist and then looked up slowly towards the lotus face. And then only she looked at the feet. So therefore, she also playing her part. Oh, Krishna, you're playing the part of my nephew. I will also do my perfect part as your auntie. But at the same time, I know you are the Lord. So that's the idea.
Okay, Prabhu. Thanks a lot.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Anybody else? So it's nice, isn't it? It's very beautiful. Bhagavatam, right from Canto 1 itself, it sets the standard. No funny business. No karma kanda, no mixing with karma, jnana, nothing. Straight away, it's pure devotional service. So that is the beauty of Bhagavatam. All 18 cantos is full of this. So by the time we finish all 18 cantos, you can imagine how our consciousness will be by the grace of Guru and Krishna. So let's make that our life. All right. So if there's no other questions, thank you very much for your time. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.